Welcome to NASCAST 500, the only NASCAR podcast that says, what the fuck? I'm Elizabeth Moxley, and I'm joined by...
Mathew?
Okay, we don't have no idea where Adam is, so we're going to go ahead and start. Geez, Phil, this is a big news week here in NASCAR land. We'll just start with Sprint is going bye-bye to NASCAR after the 2016 season. Let's see. Since the partnership began in 2014, Sprint has worked closely with NASCAR to bring many fan-friendly innovations to life, including the introduction of the FanView Next Generation Scanner, the creation of NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile wireless application, and the debut of Miss Sprint Cup, an ambassador program that has now more than 1.5 million social media followers. The constant evolution of the NASCAR Sprint also race pre-race show and the improvements of the Sprint Vision trackside programming also highlights Sprint portfolio of fan enhancements. Good for Sprint.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it started out as Nextel Cup, and then Sprint bought Nextel a couple of years into that whole deal. It was 2004 when that started, when Winston left the sport due to the government regulations basically ending cigarette sponsorship and limiting liquor sponsorship, even though hard liquor came in around that time and left real quickly. But whatever. I mean, Sprint leaving in 16, the way things are going for NASCAR, for as bad of a product as they put out in recent years, they figured out a way to get a new sponsor for their second series. And they also figured out a way to recover from Craftsman leaving the trucks, getting Marcus Lemonis to put in big dollars with Camping World, and he's basically locked in for another basically 10 years, 8 years into the 20. I don't even know if trucks are going to last that long, frankly. So the fact that he's got them sponsored, I guess it means it'll go to at least 2022. We mentioned on different pages some of the sponsors we think would be funny to see, but it's hard for me to imagine who's really going to come in and invest, a couple $1 billion.
Let's go over the suggestions. Our good friend Rage, my good friend, not your friend, because you don't like him, because he's basically it's like it's Rage from Rant Idiot Radio. We may have differences in NASCAR, but out of NASCAR, we have some similarities, so I consider him my friend. He says Verizon should be a good sponsor.
I mean, Verizon already sponsors the IndyCar series, and they have a lot of interaction in that deal. They're trying to grow that series from where it's been, which is basically the depths of despair. For them to come and move to Cup, basically, it's because of Sprint that Verizon left NASCAR anyway, because they weren't going to allow them to sponsor a car. So that was part of the problem. I mean, it's a good idea. They have the money, but every mergers and all kinds of stuff that's going on, it would be hard to see Verizon moving. I don't say that it's not impossible, but, at this point, I don't know if that's in the top. I would think some fast food company or some sort of store. I think they probably want to give a call to Walmart. It would make perfect sense considering the clientele.
I fucking hate Walmart with passion. Ugh. Scott suggested Ashley Madison Cup or worse, GoDaddy Cup. No.
Well, Ashley Madison would be great. At least there'd be a lot of women desperate for men at races, and that would end up being a twofold situation. It would make lots of drunken men happy and also give them a lot of diseases. So I don't know if that's really a benefit or a curse there. I think Adam is on, but he's not connected. So.
Yeah. Tommy suggested Marlboro, but I think there's a lawsuit because they don't want a cigarette company to sponsor them.
I mean, Marlboro, they sponsor Ferrari, but they don't sponsor Ferrari. Everybody knows that Philip Morris Corporation is the main sponsor for Ferrari ever since, for like 20 years basically. It's just that they don't have the markings on the car that mean that they actually have Marlboro on the car. So if they left Roger Penske, I doubt that they're willing to sponsor a whole entire series anyway.
Okay, I just got a message saying I'm on Skype right now, waiting for you guys. We're ready. Ready whenever you are. I'm like, oh my, we're just sorry to start recording. So I was okay. We're recording. Me add you on a second. Okay, I suggested Braziers.
Yeah, Brazzers would be great. I mean, they got some good material. It would be lovely to see Lisa Ann at the racetrack. Me personally liking the MILFs, but or Julianne, but
No, Lisa Ann's retiring.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess she's taking it in every hole now. I don't think she really can go much farther than that, but I mean, she got really good with age. She, like a fine wine, she got better with age, Lisa Ann, and those, and Julianne as well. She's another one of my favorites. But
okay, Don says Folgers Cup.
yeah, Folgers and Maxwell House were the last two that I saw, and of course, harkens back to the old days when there used to be a Folgers or Maxwell House car on the racetrack. That'd be great.
Oh, Adam, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We were discussing Sprint going bye-bye from NASCAR in 2016, and we're discussing potential replacements. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, you know what? I just read about that a couple hours ago, and I was like, you know what? I always have this thought in my head. Who's going to take over after Sprint? Because there's not that many suggestions out there. There are some sponsors, but a lot of them, if the sponsors come in, they'll have really stupid names. Like, I had this idea, like the NASCAR Verizon Cup. That should be better than Sprint. Even though I have Sprint as my carrier, I think I sound better. But I don't know. Maybe they would try something new, kind of like Xfinity being the new nationwide sponsor. We could see something like NASCAR. Actually thinking about it, it's kind of hard to pick a replacement considering it's still another 2 more years before it'll be out the window. But hopefully whatever sponsor they get, it doesn't sound stupid and it sounds pretty cool because we haven't had a cool Cup name since Winston Cup. And, there's a lot of people out there that would agree with me because even though it was a cigarette, I mean, I guarantee you that half the people didn't even know that. But, yeah, Winston was the best sponsorship out of all the sponsorships that we had in this series anyway. Nextel Cup sounded kind of stupid. Sprint Cup, so many people are used to saying that now, so it's going to get kind of hard to get used to. But whatever sponsor is in 2017, everyone's just going to call it Cup. Doesn't really fucking matter what it is.
All right, Brendan suggested Instagram Selfie Cup.
Oh my god.
I think Facebook has enough money to go and sponsor the Cup Series, and Bradley would. Well, if Twitter sponsored it, then I know that Brad would be their spokesperson because he goes and tweets at weddings too these days. But that's a story for later on.
Mike says, call it the Toto Cup since they make toilets, you can flush the shit down the drain.
Nice. There you go. That's a good one. I like that one.
Let's see. Rage Again says the Goodyear Cup. Highly doubt that.
More like the Badger Cup.
So, damn it, why did hold on 1 second. Thought I saw another suggestion on here. Hold on. Let's see. The Reese's. Derek says the Reese's Cup.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And you Phil suggested.
Sounds ironic too when you think about it.
And you, Phil, suggested KY Jelly Cup, Kotex, Strawberry Douche, Barbasol, Brodo's Butt Paste. Pampers would be a great fit for most of today's drivers. Good.
I think the Pampers Cup, considering half the field today, and considering Kyle Larson, I didn't know he could grow facial hair until about a month ago. The fact is he's just got out of diapers, he's having a kid, pizza face, and his now wife, they both look like they're children. So I mean, of course, it make a lot of sense. And then, and all of Hendrick Motorsports, they all behave like they wear diapers at all times too. So
Okay, from Sprint going Bob to what the fuck are you thinking? There's going to be 25 drivers in this next year's Sprint Unlimited. The
Danica rule. Sorry, I just thought random stats.
The 2015 eligible participants include Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Jeff Gordon, David Gillian, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Fucktard, Matt Kenseth, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Gene McMurray, Brian Scott, Tony Stewart, Brian Vickers, we'll discuss about him later, Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, Dana Kant, Greg Biffle, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Newman, AJ Allmendinger, Casey Kane, and Eric Almirola.
Oh, because, okay, alright. So, basically, it's all the pole winners and former winners of this race, which Tony would have gotten in based on that. The 55, we'll talk about later. Basically, they made this rule. They wanted to bring, because it's sprint, so obviously they wanted to connect all the chase drivers, all 16 of them, which sounds ridiculous. It also gave the back-in award goes to all the guys who have formerly won the Daytona 500 pole, which is basically this whole change was made so that Pucomania could make this race, because she wouldn't have made it any other way. Carl Edwards also wasn't going to make the show, but now it gives him a chance with Darian Grubb and the new 19 team to have a run at it.
Which, by the way, that is the most ugliest looking car I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I've seen worse. That's not horrible. I've seen way worse than that. Mostly anything that they put on the number 10 is worse than that. And the fact of the matter is, if it doesn't matter if it's ugly or good looking, as long as it wins races, and that we don't know what Roid Rage is going to do. But I don't really. I said it on a couple of boards that I'm sick and tired. Every single year they change the format for this stupid race. It's not a good race usually anyway. It hasn't been a good race for a few years. Yeah, they may have had convoluted finishes, but at the end of the day, the race sucks. It's too long. I liked it the way it used to be when Bud Busch and it was a Busch pole and then the Busch Clash and the Bud Shootout. I mean, I don't like their product, but the fact is their race is actually good. They basically ran a 20-lap dash or, 40-lap dash, 220-lap segments, and got it done and over with. All this bullshit is so that you can have all these random people. Well, I mean, no offense to Eric Almirola or Bug-Eyed Dummy or some of them type, Brian Scott. I mean, who the hell cares? I mean, Brian Scott can't even win a nationwide race. Why the hell should he be in the Sprint Unlimited? I mean, yeah, he did back like David Gilliland did at Talladega, but it's like, who the hell cares? It's such a waste. Why don't they just let everybody race? Why don't you just have a full 43 car field and just have it as a 75 lap practice session? It would actually improve the Daytona 500, frankly. If they really want to go that far, just go and let everybody run in the damn race. It's just stupid. Just limit it to pole winners. That's what the race used to be. That's how it should be. Limit it to pole winners. And say, if you couldn't win a pole, then too bad, so sad. Go and actually try to qualify in a pole next season. That's really what it should be about.
Yeah, I mean, the whole changing the shootout thing is just how they change the chase format every year. It's always to benefit the drivers that everyone talks about. Fitzpatrick, Danicant, Goonier. It's always going to benefit them regardless. I mean, I agree with Phil. A couple years ago, when it was the Budweiser shootout, when it was an actually piece of shit race, it was great. I mean, of course, everyone from back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they're like, we used to call it the Busch Clash. Well, I don't give a damn what they call it, but the Sprint Unlimited sounds fucking retarded. Honestly, I'd call it the Shell Pennzoil Clash or something like that, something cool. But the Sprint Unlimited just sounds like a marketing gimmick, and I wonder how long it's going to be the name of that race when Sprint pulls the plug. It just seems like every year they change it, and it just gets more and more boring. Last year it was a bore fest, even though it wasn't a Hendrick benefit or someone that we can't stand. I'm glad Hamlin won it, but at the same time, I really wish there was more action in the race. I haven't seen a good shootout since I think 2010 or 2011. That's how long it's been. 2012 was a great race, but the finish pissed me off. 2011 was great because I got to see Kurt win, but the racing itself in that race wasn't all that to write home about. But it was more exciting to watch than this year's. I just don't know what it's going to be like next year. But all I do know is regardless if they did reduce it to pole winners from last year, we'd still have Johnson, Kyle, and all these other guys in there, but I don't think we'd have Danica in there because she didn't win a pole last year. She won the pole in Daytona a couple years ago, but let's see, she got lucky. I honestly think she got lucky because of that. She's only in here because she's a former Daytona 500 pole winner, which automatically guarantees her in. And I just thought to myself, okay, well, this is a marketing gimmick, again, just to get Danica into the show. So we can't have one race without Danica. Oh, my God, if we don't have a race without Danica, NASCAR's going to explode. Holy fucking shit. It'd be great to not have her in that race. We'd have less wrecks. But I guarantee her and Richard are going to wreck each other, or they're going to get into some kind of race.
I'm sorry, Adam, I have to do it. Richard isn't in the race, so unfortunately they won't wreck each other.
Which is a good
shit.
thing.
They'll be wrecking each other inside their motorhome, but that'll be a whole other thing for Michael and Rutledge to talk about when they're doing their fruity business. But
okay, Brian Vickers will miss the start of 2000 season. Our good friend Bob Pockeras wrote an article about that. Yes. Vickers, it will be a third time in 6 years that the 31-year-old Vickers will miss the race because of health issues. He missed races in 2010 and 2013 because of blood clots. Vickers missed 2/3 of the 2010 season because of blood clots in his legs and lungs that were discovered in May 2010. He has heart surgery in July 2010 in hopes of keeping blood clots from forming. He returned 2011 and was healthy until missing the last 5 weeks of 2003 season because of blood clots in his right calf. My previous experiences have given me a very keen understanding of my body, Vickers said in a statement. Late last week, I knew something wasn't right, so I went to the hospital to be checked out. Following several tests, it was discovered that my body was rejecting an artificial patch that was inserted in 2010 to fix a hole in my heart. Saturday, I had to have corrective surgery to repair the hole, and now I'm beginning the recovery process. Okay, I wish you well, Brian, but it's about time you need to hang up your shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Vickers fan for a long time, and I remember when he first got his blood clots back in 2010 and missed the rest of 2010. It sucks when one of your favorite drivers comes down with an illness, but it also sucks when it just keeps on coming back and keeps on coming back. There is going to be a point in time where his health issues is going to make him quit NASCAR. And that sucks because I still think Brian Vickers has a shit ton of talent. I mean, yeah, hasn't won that many races in Cup, and he's only been in the chase once. But still, the guy can drive. It's just that he's paired up with a really shitty car owner. That's the thing that's kind of hard to root for him sometimes. But like I said, Vickers can race for probably like a little while longer, maybe another couple years, and then maybe we'll see another issue take him out of the car, and then maybe that's when he'll step out of NASCAR. I mean, he got blood clots in 2010. He missed the last couple races of 2013 because of blood clots again, and then now he's going to miss the start of 2015 is what they say, and I don't know if they mean just Daytona or if they're talking about the first couple races, but it sucks to hear Vickers is in a really bad condition again, and I just hope he gets better.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to him and his immediate family, first of all. I mean, I read that and I was like, man, it's getting to the point where Brian Vickers has to start thinking about. I agree with what Elizabeth in a sense with what she said. It's like you have to start thinking post career. You might maybe sports car racing might be your thing. Maybe because he did well in those sports cars when he had that little hiatus a couple years ago, minus who he was driving with, which was Fruit Cup and the guy who actually funds MWR, who tries to kill prototype drivers at every corner, Rob Kaufman. But uh, for Vickers, first thing is to get healthy, or as healthy as he can be. Uh, is he a contender to make a chase? All he has to do is win one race, as he did back at New Hampshire a couple of years ago. Took that from Tony in July a couple of years ago. So he doesn't have to be there the whole year. Denny Hamlin missed a race, made the final four. The long story short, I don't know how long he really has to be a Cup driver. I think he should be thinking long term, and I just got married recently, and he's trying to have kids, or he has kids, or something like that. And his buddy was Ricky Hendrick, and Ricky Hendrick died before he ever got to see his baby, and all that. I think he probably will think of that and think of all the stuff that he's gone through, and he made Red Bull a relevant Cup team, backed them into the playoffs the one year. Actually, the hard way, actually made the top 10 in points, unlike the bullshit they have now. But considering who he drives for, like Adam said, considering what's gone on with his health, I mean, start thinking of an exit strategy so that you're here with your family and your loved ones. And racing will be there. You can be an owner. You can nurture talent. You can do stuff like that. But maybe driving and give somebody like Brett Moffitt, a legitimate shot, considering he drove that furniture mover car for how many races and hit the wall every single week. I mean, it's bad enough Princess Mikey is going to be driving the car at Daytona, but then you have Brett Moffitt. Maybe he'll get a shot. We'll see what he really can do in good equipment.
I hope the God and the fruitcake doesn't drive the 55 the first.
He is going to drive the 55 because who else is going to drive it? He is also an Aaron spokesperson. He always drives plate races. It's basically backs right into what his wet dream is. And then you have also in an aside, I think they said somewhere, I read it earlier, that because Vickers is out of the shootout, they would probably bring the next person who's eligible based on some sort of criteria, and that would be Clint Boyer for. So in the end, MWR would still have a representative in that shootout race. It'd just be Boyer instead of Vickers.
Okay. Do you guys know there's a NASCAR Europe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard about it.
All right. This season, 27 cars with 99 different drivers competed in 6 race weekends, with the NASCAR Euro Series Championship determined by a single point. The series takes competitors across the continent of some of the world's most famous racing circuits: Valencia, Brands Hatch Circuits, Tour Speedway, Nürburgring, whatever the hell that is.
Nürburgring.
Okay, thank you. Autodromo del Emburia and Le Mans. The crowds are large, the excitement is growing, and series champion Anthony Compton believes there is a great potential for NASCAR Whelen European Series in the future. He goes on to say, NASCAR is growing big time. I think it's one of the fastest growing series in Europe. Obviously, F1 is the biggest series, but we still have huge crowds coming into a lot of races. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Nürburgring was the same weekend as the Hockenheim Formula One race, which is like 200 kilometers from each other, and we had more people at NASCAR than Formula One at Hockenheim. So that's really good. Some of the events are really great. The oval race at Tours, we had about 600 spectators. So it's growing. There's a lot of NASCAR fans in Europe, but they still have to learn there's a NASCAR series in Europe, he said. We need a bit more TV coverage, but I'm sure this championship could become one of the biggest in Europe in the coming years. I got nothing.
Well, it's, when you hear of other racing series in the world, you don't think of NASCAR. You think of the V8s. You think of IndyCar. You think of F1. All those other series. When I heard there was a NASCAR Europe, I was kind of, cool for them. I mean, they're understanding NASCAR, but not really. And about the television coverage, that's not going to happen. I mean, look at what we have to offer. I mean, Fox Sports 1 ain't gonna call those races, and they're sure as fuck ain't gonna air any V8 Supercar races next year.
Well, we can send Focktard to Europe, and we don't have to see him on TV ever again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't understand why.
Send Bush, send Pukemania, send Pizza Face. By the way, I like Pizza Face. Thank you very much. Who else would you send to Europe?
Junebug.
Yeah, Junebug. Send Earnhardt to Europe. Find any driver we don't like, send him to Europe.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Okay, sorry about that. I was gonna say, it's a very unknown series to most NASCAR fans. Most people never even heard about it. I didn't even hear about it till I heard about it on J-Ski. And then I read the article and I thought, okay, well, it's a NASCAR European series, cool, whatever. But I can't get into it. Number one, because there's hardly any racing, there's no coverage for it. And then number two, it's probably not going to last for a couple more years. It's just going to kind of be like IROC, NASCAR's version of IROC, but it's going to be in Europe and it's not going to be around for a while. But if it does grow into a big mecca like NASCAR, but not as big, that'd be cool. But Fox Sports, NBC, they're not going to cover it. They're going to cover Monster Jam and all this other bullshit. They're going to cover basketball games and football games as if I fucking care about football or basketball.
Monster Jam. Keeps me occupied.
Well, Monster Jam is better than half the shit that Fix Sports airs. But that's not saying that half their coverage is garbage. If they started airing more V8 Supercar races or more ARCA races than they do just a couple races a year, I'd probably watch it more. But the only thing that they do show that I will watch is the qualifying and the shootout, which I'm sure is going to be on Fox Sports 1, and I think the All-Star race is also going to be on Fox Sports 1 in May.
Some of the races too.
Yeah, but other than and then the races that regular Fox isn't going to cover, Fox Sports 1 is going to cover next year. So realistically, about the NASCAR Euro thing, it'd be cool if it got more coverage and if we were able to see it to see how the Europeans are challenging our sport. But like I said, they're not going to cover it. They'd rather cover UFC and all this other bullshit than racing, because racing's always taking a backhand from Fox after they fucked over speed. So it's not really going to happen.
I mean, basically, the NASCAR Euro Series uses a something similar to what the Whelen All-American series cars are, with the wing on it, like a COT wing. They ran them at the Race of Champions last weekend, actually, as one of the cars, and on that track they couldn't even get up to second gear, but the cars, I guess, are good for what they're there for, until somebody from that series actually goes and makes waves on this side of the pond. I don't know where it's really going to go. Yeah, they race at some nice tracks in Europe, but you need to have sponsorship. I mean, you need to have more backing. Like the Brazilian Stock Car Series is actually a very viable form. Of course, their cars aren't exactly the safest, but ex-Formula One drivers go over there. Rubens Barrichello, all-time leading driver in terms of starts in F1, won the championship this year, and they have plenty of money, sponsors, all that stuff going, and they go all around Brazil. The Euro Series has some potential, but in the end, it's very limited in terms of in connection, because they have enough problems going and showing us who's driving in the Nationwide and Truck Series or Xfinity and Trucks, let alone going and showing freaking NASCAR Europe. So, I mean, long story short, we'll see what happens with it. I don't know how viable it really is going to be, but until somebody comes from over there and actually gets in a Nationwide or gets in a truck, it's going to be hard for anybody to take it seriously.
Okay, Kurt Busch had to go to court today. The hearing related to a protective order filed by Patricia Driscoll has begun today in the family court in Kent County. She was overcome with emotion after she testified that Busch assaulted her, saying, "It scared me because he just snapped." She began to cry in court and a recess was called. Testimony had resumed and continued. Driscoll alleged in court documents that the night of September 26th, Busch was despondent after performing poorly at a NASCAR qualifying race at Dover International Speedway. He allegedly called her a psycho among other slurs and said he wished he had a gun so he can kill himself, according to the documents. Driscoll also alleged in court documents that Busch had smashed her head 3 times against a bedroom wall in their motor coach following a September race at Dover International Speedway.
Yeah.
A previous scheduled hearing was postponed earlier this month because Busch was out of the country.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, I'll take this one first. What I said basically was, it's like, well, she goes and cries and says, "Oh, I freaked out," and I mean, basically, it goes back to what we said a few weeks ago when this actually came out at Phoenix, that it seems convenient that, this was happening at the same time she's going and having a custody battle for her kid, and then this comes out where she's saying Kurt Busch is a psycho. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, young lady, but the fact is the Busch brothers both aren't exactly working with a full deck of cards. That's number one. Number two, Kurt, while he's had quite a history, a checkered past, he's reformed himself, and I'm pretty sure at this point in his career, for him to go and do something of that magnitude would basically be napalming his career. I don't think he's really... I have a hard time believing he'd go to the level that she says he went to. Did something happen? Probably. But because she is using his prior history against him, it seems convenient. And considering what's going on with her, it also seems kind of convenient. So I don't know how far it's really going to go at the end of the day. Hopefully, for all parties involved, there's a resolution that's within reason. In terms of Kurt, he's one of Tony's, well, not really, I don't really consider him a part of Tony's team. He's really Gene Haas's driver, but he's one of the 4 drivers of Stewart Haas Racing. So, I mean, they were so shitty most of the year, but he had actually made some good runs with the old man. I think it would be good to see what they could do for a whole entire year. But if something happens, who knows? It may end up being Chase Elliott.
Well, with me being a Kurt fan, I get a lot of questions on, hey, well, what do you think about this situation with Kurt? Do you think he's guilty? No. Well, it's kind of like Bill said. Yeah, Kurt has a checkered past. He's one of NASCAR's bad boys back in the day, along with Tony Stewart. There was a lot of things that Kurt did. A lot of people thought, wow, Kurt's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he got into a couple altercations with a couple drivers. Yeah, Jimmy Spencer. Yeah, he got involved with Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, he's gotten involved with a bunch of other drivers. Still doesn't mean that Kurt's that fucking aggressive in real life. Personally, I think that Patricia is just crying wolf and that she's just making this up and using his past history as against him, because they're more likely to believe her because and not believe Kurt because most people know, oh well, that's just typical of Kurt Busch because he's such an aggressive driver on the racetrack and he's so angry all the time. He's so mad. Shut the fuck up. This isn't 2011 anymore. This isn't 2007. This is, when Kurt was when he was always aggressive and cussing on the radio. Yeah, that was kind of a little far. But I still didn't think that, he'd be capable of this, and I still don't think that. I still think that, yeah, they may have gotten into an argument. The words being passed, but the whole part of Kurt saying he wanted to shoot and stuff and shit, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I also think that him smashing Patricia's head against the wall 3 times is also a load of shit. Like I said, who are they really going to believe more? Are they going to believe a NASCAR's former bad boy who's been not only caught a bunch of times cussing at his crew chiefs, at his crew, at other people, also arrested in 2005 for a DUI and during the Phoenix race and then all this other bullshit, versus someone who's for the Armed Forces Foundation and is a veteran supporter, blah blah blah. Yeah, they're gonna believe Patricia more because she's a bigger liar than Kurt, and she can use it to her advantage, and she can make it work. That's just the thing with this. For a while I thought her and Kurt were good together. I thought they were, nothing would phase them. I thought if they did break up, then it'd just be like what happened with Kurt's last girlfriend / wife, Eva, when they were married for 4 or 5 years, and that'd be that. But of course, being a Kurt fan, you can't always expect good things to happen out of this. So, and I personally think that Patricia's just making this up to cover her own ass and making Kurt look like an asshole. For all we know, she could have been the person that started all this. She could have been the one that initiated this bullshit, and that maybe she was the one getting all psycho. And there's this article that just passed on my Facebook, and it's from Kurt Busch Nation that I follow on Facebook, and it says, Kurt Busch, I can't terrorize my ex-girlfriend. She's a trained assassin. Which I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. That kind of sounds like something from The Onion. That doesn't sound like it's real. But I wouldn't be surprised considering...
Is it from the Daily Current?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she has that look of really, really psycho bitch. She has that look about her. I don't think she's trustworthy, to be honest. I think she's just making this shit up just to slander Kurt, make him look like a villainous dickhead, like the media always does. The media always tries to make Kurt Busch look like an asshole, someone who's just doesn't care about anything but himself, blah blah blah. The people who say that shit really don't know the real stories behind this. So yeah, I hope that Kurt doesn't get find guilty or whatever the fuck the case may be. I just hope everything works out.
All right, going off topic, guys. Let me ask you this: now, do you believe Bill Cosby, who's been the generation's good old dad, or the 24 women that accused him of drugging and raping them?
Well, probably believe the girls because Bill Cosby's fucking out of his mind. He's so goddamn old. He honestly believes that his mind is pudding. So yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of love for Jell-O. That was going to be another one. I'd forgotten about posting Jell-O earlier, but as a sponsor for Cup, but honestly, yeah, he's so out of it. The guy drugged so many women. I'm pretty sure that it may not be all 24, but I'm pretty sure the vast majority of them have had some sort of experience that's probably illegal in most states. And at the end of the day, I mean, Bill Cosby, there's enough people that are offended. I work in a place where people will get really offended about that. I mean, you look at the guy and you see what some of the things he did kind of leads into it, but hey, whatever. I really, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Well, okay, and sorry about that. In other Bush news, Samantha Bush has been blogging about her difficult journey trying to get pregnant. She has something called polycystic ovary syndrome, and she couldn't conceive because of that. So she is blogging about how she has to take commune, whatever the hell it is, and then she has to take shots in her ovaries and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, it's a good blog, but we don't really care about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like who really cares except Kyle Busch fans? I mean, when I heard that Kryle and Sammy were having a little demon spawn, I was like, oh great! So let's see who's gonna look like. Let's see what the kid's gonna look like. Is it gonna look like Pee Wee Herman Jr. or is it gonna look like a hot chick? Let's see. I'll bet on it looking like Pee Wee Herman.
He's gonna. They're gonna have a boy. They're having.
Oh, awesome, Pee Wee.
So it's gonna look like Greg Biffle. It'll be great. I mean,
that short fuck.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, with those two, I mean, Samantha needs. I mean, she bought two of DuPont's best bolt-ons she could find, and then you add her lack of a personality. I mean, she's probably blown DW. The way DW talks about her, you'd swear that he's probably done that. So is Kyle.
Maybe they should go on Maury Povich to see who the father of this kid is.
Hopefully it's Tony. That would be great. It's the same way as I keep on holding out hope, even though I'm pretty sure it isn't the case that Tony nailed Delana and had made Keelan. But honestly, with the receding hairline and the doughy face, it basically gives him away as being Kevin's. But honestly, I'm pretty sure Delana's fucked Tony at some point. And Kevin probably watched too, because that's the kind of bitch he is. But hey, he's a Sprint Cup champion, so whatever. He could be a bitch, but he's a Sprint Cup champion who's a bitch. So
okay, there's another Fox defection to NBC. Rutledge
Wood
lands with NBC Sports.
That's just don't have to read anymore. Nobody gives a fuck about Rutledge Wood. Okay. At the end of the day, he's MW55's butt buddy. He's MW55's beard. He sucks. I mean, I'll give him credit. He's good on the Top Gear USA. They goof on him because he wears flannel like he's Al Borland. Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight, but he's a cornball. He's completely useless to the world. He probably fucks goats. I mean, outside of his wife, he probably fucks goats. He looks like that kind of guy. He doesn't add anything to any telecast he's on. He's friends with Adam's boy, Kyle Petty, these guys. So the fact is they probably want to put those two together riding on a motorcycle like Little Miss Daisy or some shit. Or some horrible segment they're going to do when he has one of his motorcycle trips or whatever. Like he'll be on a little pink motorcycle with MW55 or some garbage. Like who the fuck cares? He's another no-talent hack that gets employed while people who actually know about the sport and actually care, like us, can't get anywhere. We have to sit here and do this deal, which is fun. But at the end of the day, I guess that's the point. I guess that's what 2015 is all about, is getting us out there so then we can go out there and basically goof on Rutledge right to his fucking face.
Honestly, I liked Rutledge for a little bit, and I met him at ACS a couple years ago when I met the guys from Speed when Speed was still on. I got to meet Chris Sabota. I got to meet Larry Mack. When he still looks like a pin, he looks like a pinhead in person, just like he does on TV. I got to meet Jeff Hammond, and he still has hair, surprisingly. Krista's hotter in person, and Rutledge was just like a dopey fuck with his neck beard, looking like some 9gag user or whatever. And then there's some guy who was there at ACS standing behind me that looked exactly like him, and I snapped a picture of him, and I forgot what happened to him, but it was like Rutledge's twin or something. But going back on Rutledge, on what he is in NASCAR, yeah, he's gotten a little bit annoying for me now that he's on Top Gear USA, which is even more embarrassing to watch than him on race day. I don't like him anymore. I think he's kind of a douche, not because of the way he looks, but just because how he presents things and how he's just defaming the Top Gear name. along with Tanner Faust and that other douche, whatever the hell his name is. I don't even
Adam
British
Ferrara.
version.
Adam Ferrara.
Adam Ferrara, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't fucking care. Yeah, Rutledge is not really going to add much to NBC. He's just going to be there like Kyle. But Kyle's going to make himself look more like an annoying ponytail-wearing douche nozzle. I mean, really, what does Kyle Petty have to offer that he hasn't, quote-unquote, offered the last 7 years on TNT? Nothing. He's just going to... These guys. Oh my god, that's incredible. Yeah, that's all he's always going to do. I guarantee the first words he's going to say is something about him ass-kissing Jimmy Johnson or Kyle. It's going to be one of those. But Kyle's not going to add nothing to this, nothing to NBC's broadcast, the first NBC broadcast in 9 years. And Rutledge ain't going to do shit either. The only one out of that group that's going to do anything, and I'm guessing Rutledge is going to be on that pit fucking wagon, whatever the fuck they're going to do next year, along with Kyle and Krista. So they should get somebody who actually doesn't look like an annoying prick and can actually deliver good news. Who?
Ed Schultz.
Schultz?
Ed Schultz.
Ed Schultz. Who the fuck is that?
He's a guy.
Probably somebody on MSNBC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I watch MSNBC. I don't know, but they should get somebody in NASCAR that's been around the sport a long time to be a part of the NBC broadcast. That'll do something like, I don't know. Why don't you get Ralph Sheheen? He's fucking awesome. Why don't you get him? He's actually a great commentator. I mean, I saw the commentary he did the last 2 races of 2009 on TNT when Bill Weber got suspended for his little outburst because his hotel room wasn't exactly what he expected at New Hampshire, and he kicked ass. And I'm like, why don't they get him for TNT full time in 2010? But nope, they had to get Adam Alexander, that bald-headed prick. Yeah, they should get Ralph Sheheen to be with Krista on that pit road.
They need to get Rachel Maddow of NASCAR. Me, I could do a better pit reporting than those idiots.
Yeah, but then you probably lose it when you'd have to call the shots. If you're in the 48 pit, you'd probably be like, "Oh well, this piece of shit. Oh my bad, I forgot I'm on air. I can't.
You can't say that on NBC. You could get away with that on NBCSN, but you can't do that on NBC, unfortunately. So, well, sorry, Liz. Even though you want to do it, and even though we definitely signed for that, I don't think you could get past Sam Flood and all the people at NBC. Same for myself. So I mean, whatever. I mean the fact is,
we're the RT of NASCAR. So
yeah, we're counterculture, and I like that. Honest.
Ron Hornaday is shifting gears. He's joining forces with his Diamond Chassis. Ron Hornaday is partnered with Indiana-based Diamond Chassis. After 25 seasons in NASCAR, 4 truck titles, and 61 victories on the top 4 tours, the champ is transitioning to the fabrication side of the sport. Hornaday, along with his wife Lindy, manufactured chassis under Direct Victory Circle for the Southwest Tour prior to moving to North Carolina to race trucks for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated when the series debuted. His recent experience with Diamond Chassis, Ryan Thomas, while building cars for Hornaday's grandson Slater Bickensdorfer, led to the opportunity. Let's see. Since 2007, Diamond has produced high-quality chassis, bare bar or turnkey, custom tailored to each racer's specification. Hornaday, along with his son-in-law and veteran crew chief Drew Blickensdorfer, will bring the new technology and new ideas to the next-generation Diamond chassis program. According to the release, it's Thomas's hope to expand Diamond's reach to the Carolinas. I had no idea Drew and Ron were related.
Yeah, that was the thing that was the first thing I got out of it, that Drew Blickensdorfer is his son-in-law, so that was pretty cool. I mean, different look at Drew. I mean, now he's Sam Hornish's crew chief in Cup. He was Marcus's crew chief for a while, but and Matt Kenseth when they won the Daytona 500 one of those times. I mean, for Ron Hornaday, honestly, he proved last year that he could still drive. Turner Scott was in flux, so he never really had the best piece to win. And they focused all their energy on Ben Kennedy. I have a nice aside on Ben Kennedy later, but But for Hornaday to go back to what he did for so long, building chassis for other people, and now his grandson, um, he's following his career now, kind of. So I mean, those building chassis, and him and his wife get to enjoy retirement now in a sense. I mean, I don't know if racers truly retire. Uh, Terry and Bobby Labonte are good examples of that, but Ron Hornaday, I think he could still win races in trucks, but with the limited amount of trucks that are out there that are really competitive, and the fact that he has to wear a bow tie for everything instead of actually driving anything that's good. That limits his options as well, since Turner Scott Motorsports doesn't exist in trucks. Uh, Good luck to Ron. Good luck to him and Drew, and Drew's son in this new endeavor. Hopefully, it works out, and probably we'll hear about him the same way as we're hearing about John Hunter Nemechek, who won the Snowball Derby last weekend.
Okay.
Well, I mean, with the whole Hornaday situation, I didn't know that he was going to a different aspect of his career. Honestly, I kind of saw it coming, the whole retiring part. I mean, he's been a part of NASCAR for at least 20 years, being one of the first drivers in the Truck Series, ran in the Busch Series for a couple years, and then also ran in Cup for A.J. Foyt and a couple others. But I honestly think that, yeah, he could still win truck races, like Phil said. I mean, he's not. He certainly still has some energy left in him. It's just that he's gotten the shit end of the stick when it comes to truck deals, of getting shifted out of Turner Scott Motorsports while they still kept the 31 and the 32 trucks open, while they just left Ron in the dust, and he still managed to finish the rest of the season with I think NTS in the 9 truck. I mean, like I said, he can still win truck races, but she got the shit end of the stick. And personally, I think it's just time for him to call it quits. And I didn't even know that him and Blickensterfer were related either. And I followed Blickensterfer since he was Edwards crew chief in Nationwide 6 years ago. And, I thought, how the fuck do you pronounce his last name? I tried my hardest to figure it out for a couple months. Then someone's like, it's Blickensterfer. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to call him Blick, whatever. That's what everyone calls him anyway. But, yeah, good on Ron. Glad he's doing something he enjoys. Hopefully his success is that he exceeds at it, and hopefully he can come back to trucks one day, maybe run a couple of races, win a few before he actually hangs up the helmet.
Okay. I had no idea he had some legal troubles, but Clint Boyer lawsuit against Custom Cycles have been thrown out due to lack of jurisdiction. Basically, this company sued Ford for non-payment of a motorcycle. Boyer says that he gave them compensation for promotions, endorsement, and special access to NASCAR events. South Dakota agreed with him, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, actually, I'm not surprised. I'm just, I'm kind of lopsided on this whole Boyer situation. I also read about it first on J-Ski. I was looking at what news is in the news. Usually I look for paint schemes, if they change any paint schemes. And then I look and I see legal problems for Boyer or some shit like that. And I'm like, the fuck? So I clicked on it and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So in essence, Boyer got screwed by the motorcycle company that gave him that bike, and saying that he owed $30,000, which is a load of horse shit. I'm not saying that I support Boyer or whatever. It's just who really cares? $30,000, dude. You have enough money to pay that back and some. But it is kind of bullshit if someone gives it to you and they still make you pay. It's bullshit. But whatever.
With Boyer, the fact is, I can't deny that he's a pretty good driver. I did love him before. Who he's involved with in terms of his owner doesn't help his cause by any means. This whole deal with a custom motorcycle, I mean, watching and being a former watcher of American choppers and how much work they put into those things, I guess they wanted to get a quick buck, and Boyer had the right lawyers, even though he tries to act like he's a good old boy. He's smart enough to know he needed to lawyer up, and once he lawyered up, that whole lawsuit went out the window real quick. So, I mean, it is what it is. He could cut that check real quick. He makes enough money, but it's the right thing to do is to make sure you're not, getting screwed out of money or whatever it is. So, it is whatever.
Okay, I just discovered this picture just now on my feed. There's a recent picture of Steve Burns in the hospital, smiling. It says there's some progress in the fight, but the picture I'm going to post on the page, it doesn't look good. I'll just share it.
I mean, he's going through I think it's stage 3 cancer, and he was in remission and he got it back. So the fact is he's going through chemo and all that stuff. I mean, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. He said it, but Steve Burns is one of the true pros. The fact that he's put up with Michael Waltrip and Darrell Waltrip and all these other Waltrips and Sadlers and all these other hillbillies who fuck each other's bullshit for years and still is able to be a true professional. It's sad. It always happens. It seems to happen to the good people. It doesn't happen to the bad.
And they spelled his last name wrong, too. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you expect with these people? They don't check. They don't do any copy editing. But hey, I'm just an asshole who works as a writing tutor and has degrees in writing. But they and actually can write news stories. But they hire these assholes like Jared Turner and Pork Ass and others who don't know anything about the sport and just spew bullshit. But I digress.
Yeah, me personally, with the whole Steve Burns situation, I've talked about this before in our past episodes. Steve Burns is one of my favorite pit reporters and has been since I got into NASCAR. When I first heard of his cancer, and I think last year I was crushed because I think Steve Burns is like one of the last true professionals that are still out there. That and him and Matt Yoakum and Ralph Shaheen and a couple others. But yeah, I looked at the picture and I thought, yeah, it looks pretty bad. But there could be a possibility that Steve could pull through, and I still think he can. He hasn't gotten to stage 4, which is basically you're fucked. So if he can manage to get past stage 3 and get better, then good on him. And I hope that happens because we can't really lose another NASCAR personality because he's like one of the last true real deal. He's one of the last real deals that we still have in NASCAR. There's not that many left considering of all the Kyle Pettys and the Adam Alexanders and the Darrell Waltrips and all these other fuck nuts. So yeah, I hope Steve gets better and hope that he comes back to the track soon.
Okay, well, let's discuss the 2004 season of Nationwide. Chase Elliott won. Mostly Busch won every race. That's about it.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about this Nationwide season other than the fact that Chase Elliott, out of the cannon, nobody expected him to get to the level of caliber he's put himself into, and I honestly think that's one of the few good highlights about this season is that we saw first-time champion that wasn't named Dylan, that didn't have his daddy's money backing him up. He was still driving for Rick Hendrick technically, but really he was driving for Dale Jr. But that doesn't matter to me. What matters is that he's my sister's age and he's already a nationwide champion, and and before Daytona he didn't even win one single race, and now here he is, a full 2014 champion, the last nationwide champion. I think that's awesome. Other highlights, I guess, would be Brendan Gaughan winning at Road America, and then doing it again in Kentucky. Kentucky was probably the best out of the two Gaughan wins because, Gaughan got back to victory lane at Road America, but he got lit at Kentucky. Nobody figured that he'd hold on, and I honestly thought it was going to be Kyle or Ty Dillon or somebody like that. Another highlight would be Chris Buescher's first winner at Mid-Ohio. Glad to see a first-time winner. That's not a complete douche, and that's actually driving for Roush, one of the last few drivers out there that's actually still driving for Roush and not hung up the helmet or gone somewhere else. Carl Edwards. Yeah, and then you got, of course, the Cup drivers coming in, destroying everyone else's day. Harvick, Kyle, Brad, Logano, Kane. The list goes on and on. Of course, that's just typical of every nationwide season and truck season. There's always got to be one or two Cup drivers that's got to ruin it for everybody. Really didn't see much this year. We got to see some good racing here and there when the Cup drivers weren't there. But most of the races this year were fucking bore fest. We also got to see Larson get his first win at California, which sucks because I missed it for the first time in a long time. I didn't watch the nationwide race, and it wasn't a guy named Bush that won it. So gonna make it hopefully make it a pact next year that if I am watching the nationwide series, hopefully it's somebody that's cool that wins. Really, other than that, nothing really to write home about. This nationwide series season sucked ass. Other than except the facts I just mentioned. Hopefully, the inaugural Xfinity season will be 10 times better, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be as worse, or if not worse, next year.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I when I mentioned talking about this, I wanted to focus on the positive. There's an article that Liz posted and I read, and it was a pretty solid article. It goes into more of what you've said, Adam, with limiting drivers. It goes into more. I mean, I should probably write it. I've thought for years what I think of what was a Busch Series became nationwide and now Xfinity. How drivers should be limited. Look, at the end of the day, with the way the setups are and the way the cars are, basically, it's never going to end. And when Brad Keselowski comes out and says that the only reason he's racing in a nationwide car is because the sponsor wants him there, I mean, what is he going to do? I don't get why Discount Tire can't get around they can't get in their heads that Ryan Blaney could do the same work. He did it at Bristol. He beat Kyle Busch heads up at Bristol in August. That it just boggles my mind that they insist on continuing this charade. They sponsored Reed Sorensen for an entire fucking year. Reed Sorensen, I mean, he sucks. And you don't want to sponsor Ryan Blaney who could win a championship for you? It's idiotic. It's the same thing as how Bubba Wallace can't get sponsorship. He wins 4 races, could have been a truck champion, and can't get sponsorship. It goes back to that whole thing. It's because these sponsors want Cup guys in the car. That's why, like Dylan Kwasniewski, albeit he hit the wall most of the year, is going to be in limited races because Kyle Larson is going to be driving the 1H Scott cheap Ganassi Felix Sabates special, the 42 car. He'll be in limited races now, and most of the races will be young money. That Chase Elliott winning 2 races in a row, and one of them being Darlington, that was huge. And when that happened, when he won at Darlington in his first race ever there, I just had a feeling at that point. I mean, if he had kept it together, that he was going to have a pretty good shot to win, and somehow or another he pulled it off. He won the championship as the 18-year-old kid, and basically the fat felon hit another home run, but I don't know where he's going to put him. And now that Jeffy said that he's not going to retire, and he somehow, for some reason, signed Candy Cane back, I guess he knows something that we don't about SHR or some other team coming along, that he's going to place Chase Elliott after 2015. But Chase Elliott winning the championship at 18 years old is cool. Second-generation driver of one of the most popular and well-known and well-liked people in the sport. Great promotion, minus the fact that ESPN never did really promote the series. They had an overriding focus on Chase, but I guess I would understand it too when he's 18 years old and he's about to win the second biggest title in NASCAR. But yeah, the Cup domination will exist, it's basically because of sponsorship and because NASCAR doesn't know what they're doing with the series. Brendan Gaughan, as Adam said earlier, that was cool. It's the first time in 10 years he's been relevant, or 11 years, and the common thread between both was Shane Wilson. He gets his crew chief back, and he's relevant again. His run at Road America was unbelievable. Kentucky is one of his better racetracks, and him winning that four-way battle is a big deal for him. 2 wins. I mean, now at this point in his career, he's going to be an Xfinity driver the rest of the way. Chris Buescher, who I think is going to be the main competitor for Chase Elliott to repeat. Both Chris Buescher and, as a rookie, Bubba Wallace, I think he can contend. Daddy's Money, Ty Dillon will also be there. In terms of the top 5, I would have picked Ryan Blaney too, but of course Penske doesn't want to fund him for a full nationwide or Xfinity series. So some of those veterans like Elliott Sadler, Regan Smith, the retreads will be there as well. Hopes for the new season, who knows? We haven't tested. We haven't even gotten a full lineup. Cale Conley, Emma Blaney's lesser half, just got a full-time ride with TriStar Motorsports. Don't know how far that will really get him. He ran well for RCR in limited races. His dad used to run ASA. His dad's a doctor. He was the racing doctor, Dr. Yale Conley or whatever. I always remember that because he'd start 28th in every race and hit the wall or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, nationwide the series sucked as usual. Kyle Busch made it a benefit as usual. Harvick, Candy Cane, Brad, Pizza Face, they all. The point is 23 out of 33 races were won by Cup drivers. I mean, it really, they ought to. If you're a Cup driver and you're an elite Cup driver and top equipment, you better win a race, or else what the hell are you doing? But I have good hopes for next year in terms of some of the young talent that is there coming up.
Okay, yeah, Camping World. Matt Crafton won again this year. Wallace and Jones shined. And once again, Busch
Ryan
dominated.
Blaney as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this truck season, it was actually more competitive than 2013. It was a lot more enjoyable. Unfortunately, half the races that were won by Pee Wee Herman, so couldn't really enjoy it. 7 wins in trucks, and the first 5 he won were every single event he entered in, which is a bunch of bullshit. And half the races he won, I didn't even watch. Some of them I slept through. Some of them I wasn't able to watch at home, and some of them I just fuck it, who cares? So, besides Kryle making a joke of the trucks, it was great to see the battle between Bubba Wallace getting all these wins and proving that, you know, it's not a white man's sport to all those uneducated rednecks out there that still want to argue that bullshit claim. And then we see Ryan Blaney still proving that he can drive race trucks, and be good at it, and that he's one of the future stars in NASCAR that could go somewhere and be a contender and win championships and do something. Eric Jones proved that, yeah, he may drive for Kyle Busch, but he certainly doesn't act like an asshole or drive like one either. And he raced clean, he didn't wreck anybody, and he won all these races fair and square. And I'm glad that he's proving to us that he's also could be a contender one day for trucks nationwide and maybe Cup one day if he ever gets to that point. And we also see John Hunter Nemechek maybe making a name for himself in trucks. I honestly think he'll go places in his career. Not Cale Conley. Cole Custer. Well, besides the win at New Hampshire, no one really talked about Pizza Face Jr. I mean, if you guys want to talk Pizza Face, that is fucking Pizza Face. He needs, instead of Haas sponsoring him, he needs to be sponsored by Proactive. Like, Jesus Christ.
He needs Accutane.
Exactly. But seeing the youngest winner ever in trucks was cool, but it would have been nicer if the race wasn't a complete bore fest. But I'm glad it wasn't Kyle in it, because if Kyle was in that race that Cole Custer won, pretty sure he would have won, guaranteed. Matt Crafton proved that he can be consistent still and win it. He's the new Mr. Consistency that is in the trucks. Really wanted Ryan Blaney or Bubba to win the championship in trucks, but I have no issue with Matt Crafton repeating. He's one of the best drivers in NASCAR, and a lot of people wondered, well, why hasn't he tried out Nationwide or Cup? That's just not where he wants to be. He shines more in Cup. That's another reason why I respect Matt Crafton, because Menards isn't pressuring him to be in Cup, and the only reason he's in that series is because of sponsorship. Nah, that's not the truth. He, like I said, he was in a few races in Nationwide. Had a chance to drive a couple Cup races in a relief sense for Paul Menard. I think it was at Homestead or whatever that he was going to be Menard relief driver.
Robbie Gordon too.
Oh, and Robbie Gordon's too. He, like I said, he shines better in trucks, and if he were to pursue a ride in either Nationwide or Cup, wouldn't last long because he hasn't got that much experience. He's been racing trucks for the last 15 years, driving for Kevin Harvick, Richard Childress. Now he's driving for the Thor Sport team and has 2 championships. And I probably won't be the first to say that he's going to be a 3-time champion next year. I don't think he's going to be a 3-time champion next year. I honestly think he'll be a contender, but it'll be someone new winning the championship next year. But besides that, this season sucked ass. It could have been better if Kyle wasn't entered in half the races he won this year. It would have been a lot more fun. But in retrospect, if you take out Kyle, this season wasn't half bad. It was definitely more watchable than 2013.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as I like Bubba, I like Ryan Blaney. I have all the respect in the world for Matt Crafton doing something that the pioneers of the Truck Series, Hornaday, Sprague, and Skinner couldn't do, which is repeat. It was, for a long time, it looked like it wasn't going to happen. Johnny Sauter, Crafton's teammate, gave him a run. Blaney led the points. Bubba never really got around the points lead, but he won a lot of races. But in the end, Matt Crafton's consistency won out. He won it the old-fashioned way, the way Earnhardt won his titles. And I honestly believe that once he had his daughter, it changed the way he drove. Because, yeah, he's been a good driver, and yeah, he's done some good things. He won occasionally. It took him a long, long time to finally win. And then he won once. He won a couple of times. Like, yeah, sure, but his daughter comes along, and all of a sudden he's hit a different gear. I guess baby needs new shoes, and Matt Crafton becomes a different driver. But good for him. Good for Thor Sport, a team that's been there since basically the beginning, to win 2 straight titles. As Adam mentioned, in terms of the young guns, that's one of the promising things about the Truck Series. That might be their saving grace, is the fact that these younger drivers are allowed to run. If they had more races at smaller tracks, it would make it even better. John Hunter is a great example. Coming off of winning the Snowball Derby, he'll get into the truck after the first 2 races because they're above a mile. And I think, middle of the year, he'll take over the truck full time because he'll turn 18. His dad is a great builder of cars and does it with the least amount. And for Joe Nemechek to see his son make it there, I think it's great for the sport that another, second generation driver will be able to make it. I just hope one of these teams sees the kind of talent John Hunter has and invests in him, because if he can do it with little money, who's to say he can't go and win like regularly in a Joe Gibbs car or a Roush car or a Hendrick car. Custer has the Haas connection because his dad has basically been Gene Haas's right-hand man for years. Minus the fact he needs Accutane, he can drive. But the big thing was Bubba and Ryan, the two super best friends, how they ran this year. They made Crafton sweat it for a while, but those two guys are two of the future stars of this sport. One of the highlights for me, not only was Eldora where Bubba won over Young Money, but Bubba winning at Martinsville and the Wendell Scott tribute truck was just awesome, and that was as great of a representation of the sport as anything. While some people say it's a fix, it's like, hey, you know what? You could call it all you want. I mean, if they wanted to fix it that bad, nobody else really had a truck that could compete with him. He had one a year ago with the same truck, so. And I guess that comes out because I'm a fan of Bubba Wallace, and I'm glad that he got a ride with Roush. He'll actually be able to progress, and Ryan Blaney, while he won't be in a Xfinity car, he'll be in a Cup car probably for about half the season, the way it sounds, because if Blaney's not going to be able to run a full season, he might as well run the biggest series and get as much experience in the place where he really belongs. Both those guys should be in Cup right now, because if Kurt Busch won races in trucks and they put him right into a Cup car, I think those two guys could really do something in a Cup car. But hey, it's thing about sponsorship. I minus Kyle Busch being in races, which always means I'd probably turn it off. The races that he wasn't really involved in usually were pretty good. So we'll see what happens with trucks. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say Eric Jones wins a championship next year. I really do believe that they made mistakes this year with Bubba. They'll correct those mistakes, plus the fact that Eric Jones was a better closer than Bubba was in the races they were in together. So I think Crafton doesn't get the 3P. Eric Jones gets the championship for Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Okay, one more thing before we go to questions. Joey Logano recently got married. Only thing good about this was her dress. So.
Yeah, I mean she's not a bad looking woman. The fact that she likes a pizza face bitch is a whole other thing, but good for them. Hope they're happy.
Brad Light tweeted, I'm like, dude, don't do that.
Well, that's Brad's thing. That's what he's known for. He has to live tweet everything. He probably, next thing you know, he'll live tweet being in the shower with Richard and Pukemania. I mean, that's really what the next step.
Dude, I'm a Brad fan. That's low.
That's probably the next step for him. I mean, I'm a Brad fan too. I mean, but at the end of the day, where else is he gonna go when you're live tweeting somebody's wedding? And then putting in white people #white people dancing as one of the hashtags. I mean, heck, where's the next step? So, whatever.
All right. Adam probably doesn't care, so.
Nope. Kid really care less about that puke stain getting married. I mean, If I probably would care if it was somebody I do like Larson or Brad or Hamlin or Kenseth having another kid or fucking whatever. If it has to do with drivers I like, I'll be interested. But if it's for drivers I can give a fucking rat's ass about, like Pizza Face, Fix Pack, Danny Kane, or Kryle, I probably wouldn't be even listening.
Okay, we'll go to questions. Not a lot, but Derek asks, what do you think will be the most surprising and most disappointing movements of 2015? I really don't know. I can't predict that.
Most surprising, probably Kyle Edwards returning to his 08 form and winning a shit ton of races like Kansas did in his first year of JGR. And most disappointing thing will probably be I guess would be the most disappointing thing. Would be Gordon or Stewart having another flop out year, or maybe Kyle Busch not really doing much next year. But that's not really going to be disappointing for me because I can't stand that fucker.
Yeah, I mean, for the surprising thing, I would say would be more in the trucks and nationwide. I'll go out there and I'll say that Kyle Larson wins 3 races next year, makes the chase, and at least is in the final 8. That would be the surprise, even though it really wouldn't surprise me, because frankly I think he's that good. The shock would be the thing that would be a negative would probably be Johnson after losing 1 championship. They go and do everything in their power to make sure he wins, and he would probably go and be in line to win a 7th championship, which would make everyone want to throw up. Most people want to throw up.
Just like John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, part 729.
More like Cena versus anybody, part 8,000, and he can't wrestle anymore.
Yeah. Why does my mom? David asks, why does my mom think Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Intimidator? I don't know.
Oh my god! Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I even posted a picture to that status that David posted on his Facebook, and I'm like, really? Like, it was a shot from Weird Al Yankovic's White Nerdy, and then there's this like guy that goes like he gives this look like the fuck, and that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm not even gonna touch that one.
Take your toy and bring it to the carpet.
Okay, I had to reply to what comment first. 1 second.
Can Tony stay in competition in 2015? Yes, because
hopefully. Crossing
the
fingers.
fact of the matter is, considering it was the shittiest year in a cup car, I doubt strongly that Tony would want to drive around being that bad. And if it continues to be that way early on, I'm pretty sure Chad Johnston's going to be on gardening leave soon after that, because Tony doesn't drive around to go and drive with Putomania. He drives around to win races, so I believe he'll be all right. Do I think he's going to be elite? Do I think he's going to compete for championships anymore? No. But can he make a chase? Yes, because all he has to do is one race. But that's totally different thing anyway.
Okay, well, MW55 word 22 at the Daytona 500. Please, God,
Probably. Not going to be surprised if he doesn't.
Will Brian Vickers be his oil boy?
Oh, God.
I'm not talking about
that image is going to be in my head now. Jesus Christ. Who wrote that? Who wrote that question?
Phil.
Oh, my God.
Well, what do you want? At the end of the day, that's what they do at Michael Ultra Racing anyway. So I mean, that was before Rutledge came back with he's on NBC. So then I would have put Rutledge as that anyway. It's a lesser of two evils. Brian Vickers with this stupid commercials, or Rutledge with this horrible beard. I mean, either way, it's really fruity and really awful. The fact that it was red is amazing in itself, but hey, whatever. Congratulations, you just went and hurt people's minds.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
Christ.
We are proud members of the geeksoftheindustry.com. 9 shows, all for your listening pleasure. There's a flagship Geeks of the Industry. There's Geeks on Film, Sleeve Notes, Mega Power Radio, Wrestling with Smut, Pro Wrestling Nation, Cartilage International, Chat Charts of our show. If you want to buy our shirts, please do, because we want to go to Daytona or Homestead and have a live podcast. Geeks of the Industry at Spreadshirt.com. Our Twitter's at NASCAST500. If you want to join our group page, it's Facebook.com/groups/NASCAST facebook.com/NASCAST 500. Or if you want to join the OG of the group, facebook.com/groups/G of the I. My Twitter handle is at Elizabeth Moxley, but I am not safe for work. Guys?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, www.facebook.com/AdamLoveAnotherWriter. I'm also on Twitter, @TheDesertBandit. I went on there a couple days ago. I have now 98 followers, which is surprising because I thought I had less than that. But if you're wanting to follow me, do that. I'm also on YouTube, www.youtube.com/user/SunnyBurnett1988. And that's about it for now.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/PhilipGMathew. My Twitter handle's @PhilipGMathew. Usually tweet or retweet stuff about racing or sports, and look to see more stuff as the new year comes along, picking up with new opportunities and new things coming along.
All right, this is the last podcast of 2014. We're taking a 2-week vacation. We'll be back the new year, so we want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Have a healthy and safe new year. And for my friends Adam and Phil, I am Elizabeth Moxley. Have a nice day, everybody.
Jacuzzi wouldn't work. Then the butler quit on me, man. Can you believe it? Jerk. Must have been my artistic temper when he couldn't take. How come nobody wants to give me a break? I got the blues right now. Mean and low. I'm as low as the heels of my alligator shoes. You should know how it feels. These millionaire blues. Millionaire blues. Oh, well, I found one of my bathrooms and I made it to the sink. I called one of my managers up and I poured myself a drink. Oh, I swear I'd kill that little weasel if I could. Checked myself in the mirror. My hair was looking good, but I had the blues right there. Mean and low. As low as the heels of my alligator shoe. You should know how it feels to have these millionaire blues. Millionaire blues. Get down. Lunch. I thought I'd raise my spirits with a little champagne brunch. I take the Lamborghini, the flunky parks the car. Can you believe it, man? This other monkey won't let me in the bar. I said, don't you know who I am, man? And he says, no. Can you believe it? I'm as low as the heels of these alligator shoes. You should know how it feels. These millionaire blues. Millionaire blues. To have these millionaire blues. Millionaire blues. Bad. That's bad. That's bad. it's hard sometimes for a boy.